From the mysterious, icy opening of the original Frankenstein novel, written by Mary Shelley, to the Arctic horror of John Carpenter's The Thing, it's no secret that the desolate desert tundra biome makes for an excellent horror story backdrop. The yawning, chilling snowscapes found at the top and bottom of the planet are scary enough should one find themselves stranded in them. But what if something supernatural dwelt out there in the winter wonderlands? Ghost stories are quite plentiful in the far north if the legends are to be believed. And though some believe that Antarctica also has its haunted nooks, today we will cover 10 different stories from above the Arctic Circle. But first, like this video and subscribe to this channel. These will make us to make even more creepy videos specially for you. This is Smart Stories channel. We tell stories that make you think. King William Island Zombies. While the first entry on this list steers a bit away from a classic ghost story, the desolate Inuit people who lived on King William Island tell stories of invasions from another sort of undead being, zombies. Originally named Queequeg, King William Island can be found in the province of Nunavut and was first found by British explorers in 1830. However, the indigenous people had lived there for far longer. Being this far north, the desolate Inuit had never came across other indigenous before, let alone white European explorers. So when people reported witnessing shambling, blue-skinned shells of men, legends of the undead walking once more arose. Indeed, many expeditions above the Arctic Circle were ill-fated, and many explorers, most notably the 1845 British Franklin expedition, were often grisly to behold as men froze to death. These death marches were real, though some were reported when no expeditions were documented to have taken place in the area. Perhaps these doomed explorers became ghosts after all. Kola super deep borehole. Though many Soviet accomplishments were once obscured in Cold War secrecy, it was a known fact that the nation succeeded in digging the world's deepest man-made hole on the Kola Peninsula, a project that went on from 1970 to 1994. The hole itself was able to breach 40,230 feet into the Earth's crust, a depth deeper than the Mariana Trench. Although such a feat also came with a plethora of rumors. It is widely accepted that the project was abandoned due to a lack of funding, but some rumors speculate that the drill had breached into an extremely hot cavern unexpectedly. The microphone picked up alleged screams of the damned, driving the scientists to madness. Some allege that a scientist had indeed dug all the way to hell itself, though this entry on the list is by far the most likely to be a mere urban legend. Ghosts of Tromsø. With a population of over 70,000 people as of 2022, the Norwegian city of Tromsø is the third most populated area above the Arctic Circle. Though it is far from the oldest town in Scandinavia, the city of Tromsø was officially founded in 1838, which leaves more than enough wiggle room for those trying to find a deep enough history to find ghost stories. Tales are often told of sea trolls and wraith-like whites prowling the beaches on the oceans, searching for victims in the night, and ghosts have been witnessed haunting each and every building downtown. Perhaps this is due to the fact that the city center was built on an ancient graveyard. Local historian Asgeir Johansen even hosts a Tromsø ghost walk through the chilly city. Arctic Circle Hot Springs Resort. Though the specific hot springs in question are just shy of being able to claim to be above the Arctic Circle, parts of the land first claimed by Franklin Leach in 1906 would reach northerly enough. The community of Circle Hot Springs was a boom town for the local Yukon gold rush after having been inhabited by the Athabascan people, and would eventually become a ghost town as the gold ran dry. A resort would open far later in history, and in the 90s particularly, the owners of the establishment would report a slew of poltergeist activity. Objects would fly across the room, footsteps would be heard when no guests were present, and the translucent, ghostmaker-like visage of a woman would be often seen. It is thought to be the spirit of Emma Leach, Franklin Leach's wife, who is buried at the property. The SS Bakimo. This next story takes us to the Arctic Ocean itself, as it is claimed that a ghost ship sometimes haunts the waters near the Seahorse Islands, near Point Barrow in Alaska. After 20 years of operation, the Swedish cargo steamer, known as the SS Bakimo, was trapped in the ice and forced to be abandoned in 1931. It is dislodged and floated about the Arctic before anyone could return to salvage it. Unlike most ghostly vessels, sightings of the SS Bakimo were indeed real sightings of an abandoned ship, and some people were even able to get on board throughout the 1930s. Sightings of the vessel would continue up to 1969, either coming from Inuit people living in the area or other explorers, though none dared to board or salvage the ship ever again. Though the ship's wreckage was never discovered, even after a concentrated effort to locate it in 2006, some claim that the apparition of the SS Bakimo still glides silently on the icy waters of the Arctic. Salikhard-Igarka Railway. From 1947 to 1953, Gulag prisoners of the Soviet Union were forced into the arduous task of building more than 800 miles of railway track in the frigid north of Siberia. Only around half of the track would succeed in being built, the project grinding to a halt after the death of Joseph Stalin in 1953. But the Salikhard-Igarka railway project wouldn't end before leading to the death of over 300,000 people. In time, the incomplete railway would achieve another name, Stalin's Railway of Death, and the deaths didn't just stem from overworking and exhaustion. It is said that many prisoners bled out due to the massive swarms of mosquitoes in the area. Many of the abandoned, dilapidated structures still stand to this day, and some urban explorers claim to hear tormented, ethereal scream sound of labor and other ghostly activity amongst the ruins. Kivitok. The next legend on this list can be found on the less than aptly named Greenland. The legend of the Kivitok pertains more to multiple beings than a single ghost, but it is a haunting figure nonetheless. The people of Greenland claim that large, brooding spectral figures prowl the icy tundra, hunting after people unlucky enough to cross paths with them. The word Kivitok also pertains to people who are banished from communities and effectively left to freeze to death with little chance of survival. Over time, however, people claim to see these banished folks, nonetheless somehow surviving in the tundra against all odds. Perhaps this is where their penchant for hunting people comes from, dire survival instincts. The legend of the Kivitok was made famous by a 1956 Danish film titled simply Kivitok, dropping one of the T's in its name. The Ghost of Augustus Pierce. In 1853, a fur trader by the name Augustus Pierce tragically passed away in his 30s due to natural circumstances. However, before his passing, Pierce made it very clear that he didn't want to be buried where he worked, Fort McPherson, and so a colleague and dog sled runner by the name of Roderick McFarlane offered to transfer Pierce's body down the Mackenzie River to a new location. What occurred during the trek, however, would leave McFarlane very unlikely to ever agree to such a task again. According to his journal, the dog sled driver reported hearing a commanding voice ring out from nowhere, telling the dogs to protect the body from wild scavengers. The dogs complied, but this would be far from the only harrowing occurrence. A spectral form would float outside of McFarlane's tent during the night, frightening the men beyond words. The Myling. Harrowing tales of the Myling are told all across Scandinavia, as they are certainly in the upper echelons of Norse legend notoriety. However, unlike Thor or Loki, stories of these spirits really took off the more Christianity made its way into Scandinavia. The Mølinger are said to be the ghost of a child born out of wedlock, in which the mother leaves the child out in the wilderness to die, lest both the mother and child get punished by the church. Many believe that since the child would be unbaptized, there was little to stop them from a doomed fate as a ghost. Unlike most ghosts, however, the Møling does a bit more than simply haunt a location. It constantly cries out for years and years and pesters passerby, begging them to give the spectral child a name. More vengeful Mølinger actively try to disclose their mother's secret to anyone who will listen, sometimes manifesting during her wedding day. The Phantom Trapper of Labrador. A ghost haunts the snowy fields of the Canadian province of Labrador, and he goes simply by the name of Smoker to those who tell his tale. Sticking it out in the frigid north, the man, whose real name was allegedly Esau, first started off his entrepreneurship as a trapper. But meeting little success, he turned to brewing moonshine instead. These got him into trouble with the mounted police quite often, which prompted Smoker to double down on his plan. He fastened a suit of all-white furs, adopted an all-white husky dog sledding team to blend in with the snow, and escaped persecution. He met with success for a while, but a drunken fall prompted the bootlegger to break his back in the snowy north, where he shortly died. However, some claim to see a snowy spectral trapper continuously sled through the snow in North Canada. It is even claimed that the man cried out to God himself before dying, begging to become a ghost out of fear that he'd be sent to hell. This was the last story for today. Thanks for being with us, and don't forget to share your ghost stories in the comments. Also like this video if you really liked it, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and see you soon.